I've always felt I do a pretty good job on predicting teams that were bad and that can double their win total. This year, I'm taking New England as one of the shocking teams. Last year, I took Washington and Denver. Did pretty well on that. And then there are teams that are good that everybody kind of agrees probably caught lightning in a bubble. They won't be as good this year. Detroit. The good team I'm not sure what to do with is Green Bay. I don't know what to do with him. And the reason being is most Super Bowl winning teams, even teams that get to the Super Bowl, have like 6 to 7 elite players. And I looked at this. The Athletic this week ran pre-training camp NFL power rankings, and they had Green Bay at 5. Well, I can name the Eagles. I can name 8 to 9 great Eagle players, 7 or 8 Ravens, 6 or 7 Bills, 6 or 7 Chiefs. I can't really name 7 or 8 great Packer players. And so I said to the staff this morning, let's go to a team that's viewed as middle of the pack power rankings, Denver. So let's rate the 12 best players. If you combine Denver, viewed as middle of the pack, I don't think so. I think they're better than that. And Green Bay, elite. So the best player would be Patrick Surtain of Denver. He did not miss a tackle last year. I'm not joking. He's the best corner in the NFL. Highest coverage grade of every corner. He is an unbelievable all-time great corner. They got him locked up financially. Second best player would be a Green Bay tackle, Zach Tom. So he was the third highest graded right tackle. I think Tristan Wirfs, Penei Sewell was better and Lane Johnson was better. Tristan's moved over to the left side. So they just signed him up. He's a really, really good tackle. He'd be the second best player. Third best player I'll give it to the Packers again, Josh Jacobs. PFF has their best 101 players. They have him 34th. He was a touchdown machine last year, 15 rushing touchdowns. He's a tremendous player. Fourth, Nick Benito, Denver. That guy popped last year. He absolutely popped. Pro Bowler, all Pro Bowl first team. He can run like a small linebacker and give you the edge rush like a Max Crosby. He is just a hybrid great athlete. Number 5, Quinn Miners, Denver. I know you don't talk about interior linemen. Second highest graded guard in the league last year. 711 pass blocking attempts. Gave up 1 sack. I may have him low, mostly because he's a guard. I would say the 6th best player is defensive end for Denver, Zach Allen. Again, in this franchise, some of these guys we don't talk about a lot. He led the NFL in 40 quarterback hits and ranked 2nd in quarterback pressures. So again, he's kind of an unheralded guy. We know about Chris Jones. You know, we know a lot about Jalen Carter because those teams are on TV every week. Those teams are in playoff games. Zach Allen is a dog. Okay, he's a big-time player. I'd say number 7 is Garrett Bowles, left tackle for Denver. Again, great position, great player. 700 times he dropped back to protect his quarterback. He gave up 2 sacks. By the way, I've sat next to him on a plane. They don't make humans that big. Well, I'm just telling you right now, they don't make a lot of humans that big. 2nd highest graded player on the entire Bronco roster. Now I'm going to put Jordan Love at 8 and Bo Nix at 9 because I think we both acknowledge Jordan Love is good, but is he great? We don't know. Felt like he regressed last year, but he is one of 6 quarterbacks with 55 touchdown passes over the last couple seasons. So he's good. And then I'll put Bo Nix right behind him. Listen, he led Jaden Daniels. He led all rookies. Passing yards, completions, touchdown passes, total TDs, and he's a really good athlete. So I'm going to put those guys 8 and 9. 10, I'll give it back to the Packers. Xavier McKinney. They got him in a deal. He's been great for them. 9 takeaways last year. He's a great player. Came from the New York Giants. Really, really good player. Now in 11 and 12, again, I think these guys could finish higher, but they both come off injuries. Tyler Hufanga, the safety that Denver got from San Francisco. He's a great player. He was great at USC. He was great at San Francisco. Pro Bowler, first team All-Pro, with 97 tackles as a safety in 2022. He got hurt. He is a tremendous player. He could be number 4 or 5 on this list. I'm going to put him 11. I'm going to put Dre Greenlaw, Denver, at 12, the linebacker. He was the 5th highest rated linebacker by PFF. Again, San Francisco did not want to lose him. They tried to figure out a way to keep him, but they paid Fred Warner and they couldn't keep him. So 8 of the 12 best players with Denver, who the Athletic is saying is kind of a middle-of-the-pack team. 8 of the 12 are Broncos.
Yeah, I'm excited to talk about this. I mean, I don't feel the strong desire to compare the Packers to the Broncos because it's just too random right now. You know, I mean, it's the off-season ASIN. I get why Colin did it 100%, you know, but like, I rather look at this list as a whole. Like I appreciate Colin doing the deep dive. Like I let that play more just to hear him kind of just go through who he thinks, I guess is great from the Broncos and kind of how that team's constructed because, yeah, I mean, it's a weird list for me, Accord, you know, it's according to the Athletic pre-training camp power rankings. I mean, outside of injuries are the rankings going to change post-training camp? Like I don't know. I mean that. So it's just, you got the Eagles, the Ravens, and the Bills top 3. Then you have the Chiefs for having the Packers. I think that's got to be because of a huge belief in Jordan Love, probably more than anything. But like how you don't give the benefit of the doubt to Jane Daniels and the Washington Commanders, the Detroit Lions, like I don't know. But when I see the Broncos 14th behind the Steelers, doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. Behind the Texans doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. And I guess for me, like I guess we can kind of stick with the theme of Colin of comparing the Packers to the Broncos. To be fair, like I'm a believer in the Broncos, or excuse me, of course I'm a believer in the Broncos, but I'm a believer in the Packers. But I guess if you have enough questions about the Broncos where you would put them 14th, then you would have to do the same thing for the Packers. I don't see in a situation where if you're going to be evaluating this through a specific lens, what lens a team like the Packers can be ranked 5th, but the Broncos would then be ranked 14th. That's where I'm struggling. And that's why I'm loosely reaching the conclusion that it has to be a very, very high belief in Jordan Love, more so that Jordan Love then is essentially the 5th best quarterback in the NFL. You know, that he, and which is interesting because that is what he was supposed to be, you know, was kind of between him and CJ Stroud going into last season. And again, I'm not abandoning that with the Green Bay Packers or Jordan Love, but what we saw out of the Broncos and what we saw out of Bo Nix, like there's obviously greatness there. Like we can obviously see that. So it just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Especially if you're talking about sometimes when I look at power rankings, I look at it through the lens of like, what degree of confidence can I have in any of these teams? And that is when I start to factor in a lot of other things. Factor in coaching players. What did you do last year? How much room of growth do you have? The likelihood of experiencing an injury, you know, injury-prone player, you know, whatever it may be, bad defense, good defense, new coordinator, just fired a coordinator, you know, coach hanging on by a thread, et cetera, old quarterback, young quarterback. And it's just like, I could believe a team like, let's take the Steelers for an example. I could believe that. I think the Steelers are actually going to be like a pretty interesting team and a pretty good team, and I'm fascinated to see what they're going to do with Aaron Rodgers, Mike Tomlin, and just what that's going to look like. But if I was forced to make rankings and saying like you have to pick right now, it's like I could say with such a higher degree of confidence that I believe in the Broncos more than the Steelers. Even if, and I'm not saying I believe this right now, even if I believe that the Steelers had greater potential because of like Aaron Rodgers, and if he could, you know, wind the clock back a little bit and catch some lightning in the bottle, like it's not hard to imagine that a quarterback of Aaron Rodgers' resume would be able to, you know, still bring it to a level that maybe a Bo Nix just can't in his second year. I think that's a totally fair take. But like I said, when you're actually making rankings like this, it's like, what degree of confidence do you have in any of these conclusions? And it's like, do you have more confidence that Bo Nix and Denver Broncos will be able to take a step forward, and Bo Nix, especially individually, or do you have more confidence that J.J. McCarthy will be great enough with this Vikings team that will still keep them as a top playoff team? Right. Do you believe that the Texans have finally, you know, I shouldn't say finally, but they were able to build a significantly better team and hire a better coordinator for CJ Stroud? Like, do you have that confidence, or do you have the confidence in the continuity of Sean Payton and Bo Nix? Like, that's why I look at this through so much more of a confidence factor than anything else. And just based off of confidence levels. And to be clear, like for me, when I'm talking about confidence, like it really is rooted in what I'm seeing and not just like thoughts and feelings. Even though confidence is oftentimes just like a thought and feeling, but it really is based on like, well, what am I fundamentally seeing right now? What do I think is the most likely outcome, and how confident and am I in that outcome? Which is why I'm kind of showing you the balance between looking at something with potential and how great something can be, which is why the Steelers are probably arguably the perfect example of that, because Aaron Rodgers is kind of like, what the heck type of quarterback is he going to be? Similarly, even with a team like the Lions, like we know how great they've been, but like how confident am I in the fact that they just got two new coordinators? If their two coordinators are great hires, well then the Lions will undeniably be a top. I don't, I'm like, I don't know. And it's like, do you have more confidence in two new coordinators, or do you have more confidence in Bo Nix and Sean Payne? That's why I keep kind of, going in that circle and bringing it back to that. And so yeah, I mean, I'm making sense of this list in real time, honestly. And it's like, I to me also, the more and more I see lists like this, like it still just continues to be a reminder. And I've definitely been a broken record as of late talking about this. I just think there's a lot of really good teams right now, man. I really, really do. I mean, it's just like, as much as like I can say I don't really agree with this list, I can't look at lists like this, even if one team, even if a team like the Broncos are completely out of place, right? Which I think they are. It doesn't mean that like it's a disaster, because you could easily just like be like, I think the Broncos, that's criminally underrated, and let me put them to 6 now. It doesn't mean that like everything else is a mess, or everything else is wrong, or everything else is a disaster here. Um, I just think there's a lot of good teams right now. I really do. Um, and even some of these great teams, even some of these teams that I again believe in, they still have the question marks. The Bengals, will their defense turn around? The Steelers, will Aaron Rodgers, be a high-level quarterback? The Lions, the coordinators, the Packers. I want to see Matt LaFleur and Jordan Love's relationship take the step forward. The Ravens, they've consistently been great. Can they finally play great football when it matters most? The Bills, can they play great football when it matters most? The Kansas City Chiefs and the Eagles, obviously the reigning Super Bowl team. So it's just, they're kind of just like grandfathered in a lot of way. But the Rams, Matthew Stafford, can he stay healthy? Can he stay upright? He's been flirting with falling off a cliff a little bit. The Vikings, JJ McCarthy, we've never seen him take a single snap during an NFL game. So it's just like there's questions all around. And what's interesting to me is like, I don't have those questions about the Denver Broncos. I think that's probably the heart of my conclusion with all of these teams. I have the least amount of questions outside of the obvious, those top 4 teams who have consistently been, great year after year after year. The teams that I have the least amount of questions about right now are the Commanders and the Broncos. So for me, those teams, out of the rest of this list of teams, I have the most confidence in them, because they also have the perfect balance of, they've improved in the off season, they have continuity with coaching staff, and they have quarterbacks who should, in theory, take a step forward. Yeah, it's still theoretically a question mark, but even if they don't take a step forward, they should still be good enough. So it's just like I said, the Lions question, Texans question, Rams question, Vikings question, Chargers technically probably closer to the Broncos and the Commanders in terms of that spectrum that I was talking about. So you could probably lump them in there. But the Bengals and the Steelers question as well. So, but like the Lions, a team like the Bengals, it's like you figure out that defense, even if it's just average, well, then the Bengals should be, lightening things up here. So it's interesting. It definitely is. We're definitely for me too. I'm noticing this as well. Now that we're getting we're just inching closer and closer to like the actual season, right? It's the end of July. Like we're just about in August. We're gonna start to see preseason games. Hearing of like random injuries, unfortunately, in camp and all of that. And to me, I feel an obligation to be even more accurate with my conclusions that I'm drawing. And that's why right now I'm really thinking about confidence. It's like, well, what do I have confident? Because I have lots of feelings. I have lots of thoughts about what all these teams can look at. But the way how I often evaluate teams is like I'll look at them through different variations of what a team can be, which I pretty much just did, which I just pretty much thought out loud here, where it's like, JJ McCarthy ends up being a really, really good quarterback just as a rookie. His floor right now as a rookie is just like, hey, that's a pretty good quarterback. Now, well, then the Vikings should be awesome, right? Then they should be significantly better than what you would think them to be pre-training camp power rankings, So but it's just like you can't bring that level of confidence just yet because you haven't seen it. So, yeah, I still see the power rankings then of the Broncos as a doubt of Bo Nix then probably at the core of it. And I don't know, man. The roster is obviously great enough. The coaching staff's obviously great enough. You don't have these weaknesses like, well, they have no O-line it's like, no, I understand they're not flushed with, receiving weapons or, just people who can catch the ball. I get that, but I don't know, man. I don't know. Bix is going to take a leap year. He's taking it. I believe it. I think Bix is going to ball. I think Bon Nix is going to ball. Yep. That I am confident in. Those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the Broncos being ranked 14th when the other ESPN analytics had them ranked 6th? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment. It's whether you agree with me or disagree with me. Either way, let's get in some discussions, let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.